Hello and welcome back to another movie review. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of 1917. I finally got a goddamn showing of it. Yeah, you might have watched the best list already, and this got an honorable mention because they didn't want to give it a widespread release until January. It's January. I can talk about it now because I've seen it. And yeah, this would have easily made my best list because, goddamn, this movie is a technical masterpiece. Well, I wouldn't say that the story is anything new or particularly different from other war films. I will say, though, just the intensity that is created by having this whole movie be one continuous shot is masterful. It's intense, it's a masterpiece, and the acting is great across all of this, even if some people are just there in bit parts. I can recommend this movie wholeheartedly. Go see it. Just go. Just go. Just go right now. You don't even need to stay for the final verdict. You can already guess my final verdict. So, just go. Go see it. For those that want to stay for more spoiler side of things or have seen it and just want to hear me gush about it, because that's pretty much what this entire section is going to be, let's talk about the good in this movie and the couple of nitpicks I have about it. Let's get one thing straight, just going right off the bat here. The idea of this, sequence that's all edited to look like one shot isn't really anything new. It's been around for a little while, pretty much since Birdman did it for its movie. You've also seen it pop up in a lot of action movies lately. They usually have the climax that's just this one big long take. Here, though, putting it in a war film, in a war context, it really does help amp up the tension and the drive and, the timing. We got to get to here to save these men as fast as possible. General premise of the story is that the Germans pulled back, so Britain started punching forward, only to find out that's actually a trap. The Germans are waiting for them. If the British attack, there's going to be a massacre. 1,600 people are going to die. You need to get cross-country, and you need to get across enemy lines specifically and get a message to the British forces that are there to not attack. And that overarching narrative really helps drive the tension up as they have to, go through enemy trench tunnels and get through the catacombs and sneak across no man's land. From Wonder Woman, you saw that death trap. No, they got to sneak past that without the superpowers. They got enemy snipers, they've got planes shooting at them, they've got all these different things, and the one-shot take really does hammer that home. But honestly, that is only part of it, because it feels more like this is a series of wartime vignettes about, going through enemy tunnels or coming across this abandoned farmhouse only to have a plane crash on it, or meeting this French woman caring for a child in an abandoned city that's being occupied by Germans. It feels more like these things that are happening are like a bunch of wartime stories that have been stitched together with this overarching one basically being the reason they all happened. But that's just in a movie sense. I in no way believe that most of this movie did happen, but I don't think that all of these things happened in this order. It feels like every time they get through one section and go into another one, they're in a completely different, vignette. That this is just something that happened to this soldier, and he's recounting these other stories and then kind of combining them into one. Something else I'll actually say about this film also is that this movie is not afraid to show the Great War for what it really was, a dirty shithole. There's always that gritty, dirty feel when they do all of these wartimey films. But they rarely, when you do World War I films, do they ever actually truly show just how unsanitary everything was. Yeah, fun fact about the World War I, more people died to disease in that war than actual bullets. And to actually see that portrayed pretty accurately on film, it was a nice touch. When they're going through the trenches and whatnot, just showing all the mud, the rats, and all the different disgusting things they have going around. It's just one of those things that just, as a kind of history buff, it's not my major in school, but I always excel in those classes. It's just really enjoyable to see that portrayed in film. Yeah, the Great War, not so great. Although I could gush about this movie all day, I should probably bring up there are a couple of little nitpicks that should be talked about with this movie. One in particular is the lack of characterization on pretty much anybody. because mostly that's not what this movie's about. I honestly couldn't tell you much about the personalities or characterizations of the two main leads inside of this because, yeah, they're just soldiers doing their jobs. And while you do feel for the one who actually has to get all of this shit done in the end, they're just soldiers. They're just there. We don't have time to expand on pretty much anything other than that because this is ramped up, tension filled, we're always moving towards our goal type situation. Right when they deal with one problem, they have to deal with another coming right up on top of them. It just doesn't leave room for, character exploration. And unfortunately, you do feel at the end that it is a bit of a detriment to the film, especially when it tries to have a big emotional moment. I won't spoil what happens at the end because, again, it feels like it's supposed to carry weight. And maybe it will for you, but because we didn't really get to know anybody inside of this, it kind of feels hollow and unearned. Again, it feels like it's one of those vignettes. It's just a small little side story that didn't really have anything to do with the main plot type thing. It just feels like that we're getting one of those, but we didn't get any kind of character. Also, I will say that for as masterful it is to make this whole movie one take and enjoyable, I will have to say that something like Dunkirk definitely made it feel much more like the war in general. You get the dogfights in Dunkirk, the sound design really just sells just how grand, these fights are, even if they really aren't that grand. Compared to here, the couple of dogfight scenes that we see, we get a couple of pops, and even the crash wasn't anything special. It didn't feel as good as it could have been. Honestly, if I were just to compare these two films, I think Dunkirk was the better one. As cool and as intense as this film was with its one shot, I do feel that Dunkirk makes it feel a lot more like this is what the war was like. Plus, I feel that Dunkirk had a little bit more room for characterizations than this film did. But does that really fucking matter? This movie's amazing. Hell, if you want to go watch both of these films to compare, I highly recommend that you do. Both are great technical masterpieces that really do change the game for war films. It's an enjoyable experience. I highly recommend that everybody go to it. And my personal final verdict for 1917 is this is a must-see. This is a game changer. You're going to see a lot more films trying to emulate what this film did today. And if they're good, I'll look forward to them. And that's it for me. Have you seen 1917? What did you think about it? Tell me in the comments down below. Let's get some healthy discussion going. And as always, if you like what you saw, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. All of it helps bring my channel up to new heights, and hopefully one day I can make this my full-time job. One day. Also, I stream video games every Thursday at 11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I've been doing Pokemon Nuzlocke with Pokemon Heart Gold and Pokemon Platinum. However, we're finishing up Platinum soon, so I'm going to probably move on to a Final Fantasy game. And yeah, that's it from me, so I guess I'll see you all next time.